This applies equally to nurses as well as it does to doctors, that if you're writing to the person that already knows the patient, then you're not going to have to include a lot of the information. So, for example, in this instance, you're writing to the local doctor. If you're a nurse, you might be writing to someone that already knows the patient. So, for example, if they're going back to a nursing home or something like that. So a lot of the history they won't need to know. So we're writing to this woman's local doctor here. So let me just get rid of that. So in this instance, we're writing to update the doctor. So it's important that you read the task carefully. So her local doctor, so we don't need this. Obviously, we need to reference the patient. Okay. This is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. So the purpose of the letter is to update the doctor, her local GP, on what has happened and also her progress. So you have to be careful when you go through the case notes. So there would have been some changes in medication. The transfusion might be important because later on you'll see she's taking iron sulfate. Okay, so you'd have to summarize these case notes for the doctor. And then also when you're writing, you'll see in the plan so advised to see local doctor in 1 week. So that is the person you're writing to. So if you were writing this letter, you would not say, oops. So she has been advised to make an appointment with her local doctor in 1 week. That's the person you're writing to. So you pay close attention to those notes like that. So she has been advised. Oops, to make an appointment. In 1 week, because that is the purpose. Well, not the purpose, but that is in the plan. And also you would be writing so you could say regarding update you patients progress from the right total knee replacement surgery. Or you could say, if you want, you could say, you could use that, or I'm writing to update you regarding the above patient's progress. That would also work. And then you would start off, so following operation she made a routine recovery. And then you would just go on and list whatever it is. Okay, so just be careful. with your opening and your closing, if it's got something like that on. I've seen a few mistakes, and including information that the reader is already going to know. So pay attention to those points. So that is going to be in the task. So look at the task carefully when you're writing. Okay. Anyone have any questions so far? Anything you would like me to go through? Any difficult tasks, case notes that you've had? Okay. Anything at all? Okay. All right. Here we have a drug dose. Well, basically with this, Sabine, you just copy it from the case notes, really. Yeah. So let's have a look. So you would just, all you have to do in that situation is just, you know, copy from the case notes, because it gives you that information in there. Yeah. For example, there. See if we can find a more detailed one. So there we've got oxycodone per 5 to 10 milligrams per requirements. See if we've got any more complex ones. So here, there's no reason why you can't copy this information like this. Yeah. Just copy it from the case notes. Okay. So just like this. So obviously you're transferring the case notes over into a letter. So with regards to the medication, there's no reason why you can't copy the way they've reported that. That's how it would be reported in a real life situation. So you could just copy that over, Subin. Would be no problem, really. Let me see. Is there any more? You know, there. So 20 mils of temazepam 30 minutes before bed. Yeah. So there you would write prescribed temazepam 20 mils to take 30 minutes. And you could say sleep. Yeah. Both would be okay. Yeah, so that would be fine. So prescribed. All right. So Subin, does disease condition take an article? For example, he's suffering. No. No, it depends on what it is. Oops. So not an asthma. So she has been asthma for or since childhood. Okay, so no article. So she had an asthma a severe, or you could say she had an asthma attack in the morning. Yeah, when we're being more specific, okay, you use an article. Yeah, so she sustained a broken leg after a fall from the stairs at home. Then you would use an article there. Yeah, better if I put leg, broken. Okay, so disease. So Frank, you wouldn't say, I'm just trying to think of diseases. Usually they don't take an article. So for example, let me think. You could, if it's something like a rash, she had a rash on her leg and stomach. Yeah, then it would take an article. It depends on what the case notes are. Here you're talking about something specific. Okay, so you'd have to look at what it is to whether it's going to need the article or not, Subin. Sarah, what about drugs which have been taken in the last visit and those per needs? Well, you would just report them. So, for example, let's have a look. I'll go up and have a look at this. If there's a change, so for example, we've got the person's regular medication, okay? So this obviously could change. Now remember, this is the one where the doctor already knows this information, but if there's been a change, so if we go through the case notes, here, so the warfarin is 4, what is it there? 3 milligrams there, regular, but now she's taking 4. Okay, so that's important. Yeah. And then this is an additional medication, and the paracetamol and oxycodone, yeah, or additional. So you would have to put those in there for sure. Does that answer your question, Sarah? Yes, clinical symptoms can take an article. Yeah. Now, trying to avoid using my clinic. Okay, so you want to avoid personalizing your letters. So you can just say, oops, let's have a look. The patient presented with a sore throat. Yeah. High fever or high temperature, shall we say. And a productive cough. Okay. So something like that. Yeah. So we would use an article with a cough, a sore throat. Yeah. So Sarah, yeah, you could write those ones on discharge because in your summary of the case notes, you would already have noted that the change in medication. So that would be some of the relevant features in the case notes where there's been a change. Yeah, so maybe they've taken the patient off certain medication for the operation and then they put them back on the medication after the operation. So, but it might be at a different dosage depending on what has happened and how the patient is recovered. Okay? So just like that. Anyone else have a question? Anyone else have anything to add? No, so there we would say further investigations and management regarding her, whatever it is, whatever the complaint. Okay. So you do that. Also examination. So an examination revealed whatever it was. Okay. She was given a blood test. Yeah. Or she had a blood test. Yeah. Or a blood test was carried out. Yeah. So that's those. Yeah, well, you would have to use an article there. Yeah. So there. So an ECG and exercise test were advised. Okay. Or an exercise test was, so you'd have to use the article. Okay. In those examples. So there, with the PR level, so we could say she had an ECG and the PR level was increased. Yeah, or had increased, depending on when you're writing about this in the tense. Okay? So in that situation, yeah. Okay. Aisha, how many paragraphs can we write in general? Depends on the case notes, really, Aisha. So, it's not really likely to be longer than 3 short paragraphs. So remember the word count. So it's recommended that you write between 100 and 200 words. That doesn't mean if you're over that you're going to be penalized for that, or even if you're under, as long as you've reported the key features. And when I say under, obviously if it's 100 words, then that's going to be a problem. Obviously, if you're over and 300 words, then that's not necessary. So, there's no set kind of number of paragraphs. You're probably looking at your opening paragraph, and you're going to look at it, some of the background information, and then the future management plan. Yeah. So, so Sarah said, in many visits, can we put them all in one paragraph? How do you organize it? Okay. Well, it depends again on the case notes, really. So what you need to do is summarize. So you're not likely to put everything in one paragraph though, Sarah, otherwise it's going to be a long paragraph. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So we're writing to a psychiatrist here. Okay. So if we go through these. So she's a patient in my general practice. So that means she's going to attend it on several occasions, but that doesn't mean we have to give the reader that information because the guy is a psychiatrist. So we don't have to go into detail about this. We don't have to go into detail about this. Yeah, this is going to be relevant because it's about depression. We can touch on this later on, you'll see why. Yeah. This could be important because she has no immediate support. Her parents and husband parents live out of state. So it says here she's come for a regular checkup, seems well, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's straightforward. Came again on a review. Seemed well, energetic. Missed the other review appointment. This we don't need to go into detail. Fungus improved. We don't need to tell a psychiatrist this information. This is important because she's active. And then she was advised to lose weight. So that is important. Obviously, it's about depression. So self-esteem is going to be important there. However, this is the most important one. So this is the one we have to focus on. We can give some background information, but here, feeling of not coping, wanting to die, feels tired, but sleeps badly. So we can mention the children here. Hasn't been able to look after, feels she can't cope with her 2 children or household responsibilities. Yeah. And has no appetite. And then we've got a massive reduction in weight from that to that. Yeah. So that is important. So here, what we would do is we'd summarize. Mrs. Walter visited the clinic. Or you could say is a regular patient. Regular patient and has visited the clinic on several occasions for treatment of a fungal infection on both feet and asthma management. She has appeared well on her previous visits and had become involved at her children's school and had recently made president of the Parents Association. Okay, so we're giving some background information. We don't need to go into a lot of detail. Yeah, so Mrs. Walter is a regular patient, has visited the clinic on several occasions of treatment of a fungal infection on both feet and asthma management. She's appeared well on her previous visits and had become involved at her children. She obviously isn't now, so I've used the past children's school and was recently made president of the Parents Association. Then we have to go on and report what's going on with her. So we've given a bit of background information. Now we have to say, you know, what is important. Now, you could give the most important information before this or after. Both would be fine. For the case of the psychiatrist, I'd be tempted to give some background information first, so the psychiatrist know how her condition has progressed. Yeah, so 1 minute she seems fine, then the next she's seriously depressed. So it's either depression or reactive depression or bipolar disorder. Okay? Right. Does that answer your question, Sarah? Right, let me just see what else we've got here. So, Subin, what to write after yours sincerely? Is it our name or leave it blank like doctor? Well, sometimes, so for example, for nurses, they will tell you who you are blah, blah, so you would have to use that name. Just use your own name, unless because there, for example, you are general practitioner, so you just use your own name. Yeah, Dr. Smith or whatever your name is, your last name. Yeah, so that's fine, no problem. I mean, even if you just said doctor, you're not going to lose any marks, but probably better to put your surname there, unless you've been given a name in the case notes, but that's most commonly nurses. Okay. Can we use a range of tenses in the same paragraph? Yeah, you can, depending on what has happened. Yeah, so, you know, it depends on what the case notes are and what you're saying. So, yeah. Okay, so you'll notice I've used the present perfect, present simple, and the past perfect there. Yeah. Yeah. So you can use a number of different tenses in a paragraph depending on what has actually gone on and how you're reporting that information. That's perfectly okay. No problem at all. Okay. Anyone else have a question they'd like to ask? Anything else? Anything in particular that stands out, or any particular case notes you've had problems with? I mean, the thing is, once you practice, and obviously you're getting corrected on the Facebook group, what you have to do, you develop a habit of looking at the task, going through the case notes, and choosing what information the reader needs to know. So it just becomes kind of second nature when you look through. So it's just about practice. The more you practice, the better you get. So you'll spot once you've read the task properly, you'll spot in the case notes what information you need. Yeah. Let me just check. Subin. Just a sec. I'm just going to check on the Facebook group. You might be able to get those notes on there. I've just got a very long list of tasks. Just give me a second. I'll have a look. So often students upload the files, so if you know the name, then you're able to get the case notes. I'll share this with you in a sec, once it loads. I'm just waiting for the load. My computer's on the go slow this evening. Right. So, all right. I'll share this with you. Her name is Betty Johnson, I think. So if you're struggling for notes, Subin, so watch what I do here. So go to Files. And then there's a big list. Now, can you search the files? So we'll put the name there, Betty Johnson. So what you can do is download. So if you click on someone who's done it, and then you can get the case notes. But let me see what they're like. Maybe not. Better if you can have the file actually. Just a sec. Files. Okay, that looks like it. Let me just check when that is. Yeah, I'll post those up for you, okay? I'll post those up for you. And then you can have a look at them. Now, the thing is, Subin, is your name exactly the same on the Facebook group? Subin, is your name the same on Facebook? Because if you've got a different name, I won't be able to. Yeah, okay. So I'll have to do that in the morning because I've got another 2 classes immediately after this one, and then I'm going to take a rest. So I'll do it in the morning for you. If I forget, just put a post or notify me, okay? Sarah, so what about gathering past medical family history and drugs alone and put social alone in the first paragraph? I'm not quite sure what you mean there. You mean past medical history with the drugs she's been taking and then put the social history alone? Or you mean both together, Sarah? Yeah, you could do. Yeah, that would work. It depends on the case notes. Yeah. So you're a nurse, Sarah. A doctor. Okay. It depends on what the situation is, really. Yeah. Mm, you could do that. Yeah. So, if she's got a history of cancer or something like that, and then the treatment, yeah, you could actually put that in one paragraph, for example, because she might have a family history. Yeah. Um, with regards to social history, you need to be careful though. So let's just go back to these case notes. Give me a sec. Go through, see if I can find one. Let's look. See if I can find a good example. Can't find a good one. I'll have a look. Because you might get quite a comprehensive social history, and in that situation, it wouldn't really be necessary to put everything in there. What have we got here? Okay, so if we look at this one, oops, a sec. I'll have to stop the share and then share again. Right, so here you've got to write a referral to a neurologist. So here we've got the social background. Okay. Married, 3 children, real estate agent, reports no time for exercise, relaxation, active member. I mean, you know, some of that is not going to be relevant, really. So you'd have to report. Whoa. You know, you'd have to summarize what's going on here. Obviously, the depression, but so there for a general checkup. So it depends. I can't really find one. Sometimes it lists hobbies and things like that. Well, you wouldn't actually need to put all that down. It's going to be irrelevant. So be careful when it comes to social history, what information that you've given. Okay, just a sec. I just need to write down. Just a sec. I just want to make a note so I don't forget soon. Okay. So yeah, I'll try and put those up in the morning for you. I've got class from 7 a.m. in the morning, but after that, I'll be able to do that for you. Okay. Right. What else have we got? If we have to write about today's visit, I've been using both simple past and present in the same paragraph. Example. Today she came with worsening dyspnea and cough on examination. She is, well, you can also put the examination in the past as well, Subin, because the examination has already been carried out. Yeah. So it depends what the situation is. Yeah. So for example, if it was well, I guess you could use the present perfect. So, but on examination, limited range of movement. In his left leg. Okay. Because the examination's over. Yeah. Examination. So if it's something that's been happening over a period of time, her breathing, is more labored with obvious accessory muscle use required. Okay, something like that, because this is continued. Yeah. Now on the examination, you had limited range of movement. So, okay. But you can also use the past. I would be more inclined because the examination's in the past. Yeah. Oops. Okay. So because you're referring to the examination, so the examination was carried out in the past. So that's why you would use the past there. Yeah. So if you're going to report something that is still happening, on examination, is still experiencing severe right-sided hip pain and has trouble walking upstairs. Okay, something like that. So it's still persisting. Yeah. Okay. So you could do it like that. So if something is still persisting. So she is febrile, that's okay. Yeah, but remember the examination's in the past, so I would go with the past tense and change it a bit. Yeah. If something is still persisting. Okay, anyone else have a question? So basically the tenses you're going to use are the present simple, present perfect, past simple, past perfect. Basically. Okay, anyone else have a question? So for example, there's one James Seymour with the gout. So on examination, he is still experiencing pain in the left big toe. Despite taking his medication, and he believes he is suffering from rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so that's continued. So because we're going to refer him straight over. Yeah. Oh, Subin. It depends on how many errors and articles you make. So it depends on if it affects communication. So for example, if the reader is going to struggle to understand what you're saying in the letter, then it's going to affect your score. Did I give you the let's have a look. Did I give you the link last week for articles? Did you get the link, Subin? So I think last week I put a link up for those that are struggling with articles. Did you get that or not? No, okay. Here it is. So you'll have to copy and paste it, but it's a very useful article on articles. So it's very straightforward and easy to read, and it tells you exactly what you need to do to use articles. So I would check that out. Okay. So, but as far as how it's going to affect your score, it depends on how many errors you make. So with grammar in general and Lexis also, it depends how it affects communication. If the reader's going to find it difficult to understand what you're writing, then it's going to affect your score. So just remember that. So when you read through it, so everyone should be practicing proofreading or editing to go through and look at your mistakes. So when you read through, put yourself in the reader's position. Would you be able to understand that if you were the reader? Could you understand it clearly, or would you be confused? So one thing you can do is the letters that are corrected by your teachers is you maybe copy them into a Word document, print them off, and then when you write a new letter, just cross-check across your letters to see if you're making the same mistake or mistakes. Yeah. Okay. So that's one thing you could do, print them off. That's what I would do. And then, you know, you can go through that. Anyone else have a question? So it's a good idea because then you can see your progress. When you're writing or speaking, it's not always easy to see how you are improving. So learning a language is difficult like that. So, for example, your teacher might be able to see how you're improving, but you yourself might not. So it's a good idea, you know, print out the first one and then look at what you're producing now. Another thing you could do is, I've noticed today and been kind of tagged in quite a number of posts that we've had quite a number of doctors that have passed the last test, I think. So what you could do is click on their posts and then go through their letters and see what mistakes they were making and see how they progressed. That's something else you could do. Because, you know, everyone on the groups started the same way you guys started. So, you know, you could also have a look at what other people are writing. That's another way you could gauge your progress and you could see their progress. So someone might have started off, for example, only getting rated a 3, but, you know, eventually went on to get a 4 or 5. So that's something else you could look into doing. Okay, anyone else have a question? Oops. Anyone, one more question before we disappear? Because I may have to leave about 2 minutes early because I've got to sign out and sign into a different account. Any questions before we go? So, you know, review the grammar. So look at the articles, look at prepositions, you know, on, at, in, with. So make sure you get used to using the correct ones. So once you have a good foundation in your writing, it's all about limiting the number of errors you make. So, you know, I teach a lot of IELTS students and, you know, they might have a good foundation in writing at 6, but to push that higher level, it's all about reviewing grammar, limiting errors, editing, and, you know, approaching your writing like that. So it can be quite time consuming. Okay, anyone else have a question? No? Sure? Okay, well, listen, guys, we'll round it up today because I've got to kind of sign out and sign in, which is going to take a couple of minutes, so before my next class. So just take some of that advice on board that I gave you today. Like I said, look at some of the students have passed, maybe review some of their work and how they've progressed, and also print out some of the ones that you've also had corrected, so you can cross-check once you produce a new piece of writing. Right, I shall catch everyone next week. No doubt see you Monday and Thursday for writing corrections, and have a good weekend and see you soon. Bye for now.